Morning, beautiful people. How are you all today? It is a beautiful day here in North Carolina. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So today, every single day before these live streams, I say something about how this is going to be a really good live stream and, how it's going to be really hard hitting and very informative and all that stuff. I mean, it's not going to be anything out of the ordinary, but I'm very proud of myself for doing this breakdown because I think sometimes people get so lost in the weeds that they don't know what's actually going on. Like, for instance, one of my biggest critiques of news media, just in general, is that they often do not define or explain what they're talking about. Politics is a language. Political news is a language itself. It really is. And sometimes a lot of people within media, they try to just share their opinion instead of just offering you the broad context of what this means or what this means or what this means. And I'm here to help break it all down. Like, I'm not here to tell you what to think. As much as all these far right-wing crazy MAGA trolls that are homophobic and have nothing but the same regurgitated talking points, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to make it easier for you to understand and to give you some critical thinking skills and break it all down. If you and I are looking at the same set of facts and we come to two different conclusions on the best way to approach it moving forward, then cool, great, fantastic. I mean, I'm going to tell you that I disagree, but the facts are not up for debate. And so what I am offering here is I'm just going to be breaking down why the government is shut down. And I apologize, my green screen is really not jiving today. So I apologize if the resolution isn't the best, but I appreciate every single one of you. So I'm here to break down why the government is actually shut down. Like, what is this all about? What is the core discrepancy at hand? What is the latest action? What is it all over? And so I'm here to break it all down. As a disclaimer, there will be math involved in this live stream. Yes, there will be math. M-A-T-H. And so, if you're not the best with numbers, then just try to follow me as best as you can. But make sure to send some likes. Tap the screen. I appreciate every single one of you. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, Akicha, Ilisa. Aw. All my mod friends are already coming in here. Hello. Anyway, but I'm here to break it all down for you all and try to just give the easiest to understand way to approach it. So what I try to do in my live streams is always over-explain things. And sometimes it becomes kind of annoying, but I over-explain it because people are scrolling in, scrolling out all the time on the live stream. So sometimes people will miss things. So that's why I do this sort of style. So, ooh, do I have a pimple on my forehead? No, I'm good. All right. So let's break it all down here. Why is the government shut down right now? It's simply because Republicans and Democrats cannot come to a conclusion around the budget. Republicans are trying to cut ACA healthcare subsidies for people, low-income people in particular, and Democrats are saying, no, we don't want to do that. That's simply what it's about. That's not a political statement. That is just factually what's happening. Right now, Republicans are saying we want to eliminate these Affordable Care Act subsidies. We'll talk about what a subsidy is, who it benefits, all that stuff. Republicans are simply trying to get rid of these subsidies that help low-income people afford their health insurance. That's simply what it is. Republicans want to get rid of those provisions. Democrats are saying, hey, we need to keep those provisions. Right now, the reason why the government isn't open is because there was a funding bill. There are actually two different ones. There was a Republican one and a Democratic one. Both failed in the Senate, meaning that without this bill actually apportioning funding, then people are working without pay. The government technically is closed, and uncertainty is in the air. All of this is over the one big main thing, healthcare subsidies. And now it's funny because being in, political news journalism, some people are going to be like, oh, it's more interesting to hear about Epstein, or it's more interesting to hear about the latest scandal or crazy take or the culture war. I'm here to be a journalist. So I'm going to give you the raw factual information, break it all down for you as best as I can, even if the topic isn't the most salacious or interesting. I'm not here to tell you what to think, but rather to give you information on how to think critically. So if you are on board with all of that, then please make sure to like the stream. Let's get started here. So right now we are entering, I believe this is day 6 of the shutdown. Now, this shutdown is because Republicans and Democrats cannot come to an agreement upon a funding bill. The biggest disagreement within this funding bill is for healthcare subsidies. Subsidies which help low-income people afford their health insurance. So why did the US government shut down? Well, they failed to pass a funding bill. And it's strictly by the numbers. So right now, in order to pass a funding bill, an appropriations bill, many things in our government are whoever has the most votes, then or whatever gets the most votes passes. Though in the Senate, you know how you have 2 senators per state? In the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to pass a funding bill, an appropriations bill. Well, right now, this is the current makeup of the Senate. So if Democrats are going to pass a funding bill, then they are going to need these 2 independents as well as a good chunk of Republican senators. Likewise, Republicans, if they're going to pass a funding bill, need Democratic support or independents to peel off. So that is that's what the big conflict is here. There's not been an agreed upon appropriations bill. And so because the deadline passed, that means that many people are working, federal workers are working without pay, meaning that the government is technically shut down and they have a deferred paycheck and all that stuff. So that's what this is all about. They can't agree on an appropriations bill. The biggest part that they are not able to connect with, the core dispute, are the expiring ACA subsidies. Now, you might hear ACA and Obamacare. They are the same thing. I think many people have learned that over time, but the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are the same thing. Basically, the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are simply government-provided health insurance at a discounted rate for low-income people. Now, of course, this is for a lot of low-income people. Not everyone within the range to qualify is on it. For instance, I'm not going to tell you how much I make in my job or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. But there are many people who make certain amounts that could qualify for it, but might get insurance through their employer. So we're going to be talking about, what is the ACA? We're going to be talking about, what is a subsidy? What is a healthcare premium? The big takeaway here, before I really dive into the weeds, the big dispute is over subsidies within the Affordable Care Act. Cool. I appreciate every single one of you. I don't even understand why there are weird people spamming in the chat here. This is why I hide away the chat so I don't even see it. It's just, anyway. So the big discussion right now is over healthcare subsidies. That's what the big divide is. And so right now, Democrats are saying, hey, we want to keep these ACA subsidies in place. These ACA subsidies, meaning that the government is helping to foot the bill for low-income people to have health insurance. Meaning that they can go to the doctor, get treatment and everything. The government partially foots the bill for their healthcare costs. So people aren't going bankrupt over trying to go and just get healthcare. Now, Republicans are saying, we want to eliminate those subsidies. We want to eliminate them altogether. We don't need them. We don't need these these government funding to go to low-income people for healthcare. That's not a political statement. That's not me trying to spin it. That's just objectively what's happening. Right now, Republicans are trying to get rid of these ACA subsidies. They want to eliminate some of them. They want to get rid of the subsidies for low-income people. So let me break this further down here. You might be like, okay, you're using a lot of terms and I don't quite understand. Now, if you have health insurance, you're familiar with something called a premium. A premium is basically your bill, how much you pay for your health insurance every month, okay? So it depends on how much you pay, what kind of plan you have, all that. That's what your premium is. A subsidy is simply assistance given by the government to individuals or a business. So, for instance, let's say the government wants to subsidize solar panels, solar panel manufacturing, meaning making it cheaper to manufacture solar panels in the US. That could be a subsidy. The government could also subsidize and say, hey, we're going to partially foot the bill for low-income people to have health insurance. Subsidies, like all of money within government, come from your taxes. So this is money that you've already paid for. So when you receive a subsidy from the government, that is the government having taken in your taxes and spending it to help subsidize certain things. So subsidies, a good chunk of it comes from taxpayer dollars. So in breaking it all down here, let's say that your healthcare costs, let's say that you just now qualified to receive some compensation from the government for your health insurance. Okay, so let me give you an example here. Let's say that you owe $800 a month in your premium, your monthly cost for receiving health insurance so you can go to the doctor. Well, let's say it's $800 a month. The ACA subsidy, Obamacare, Affordable Care Act subsidy, says, you know what, we're going to subsidize the amount that you pay. We're going to foot the part of the bill for it. It's the same way that if you want to purchase something and you get a coupon or you're able to get a discount, the government is basically discounting your healthcare if you make under a certain threshold. If you are a lower income person, if you are between, I believe it's the poverty level and 400% the poverty level or something like that. I have to double check. I have all this stuff later on in the live stream. Point of all that is, a subsidy is basically a discount. It is a coupon. It is a reduction in the amount that you owe. These subsidies come from your taxpayer dollars. So you're already paying for it. Don't ask me why this is the system. I'm not here to get into that. It's a whole nother discussion. But this is what it is. So let's say you owe $800 a month for your health insurance. Well, then you have the Affordable Care Act subsidy that comes in, and it reduces it by $600. So the amount that you pay after government assistance is $200 a month. And again, the money for these ACA subsidies largely come through taxes. Cool? So with all of this kind of being broken down here, let's say that you earn $45,000 a year. There is a current law that was put in place during the coronavirus pandemic that basically said, hey, the total amount that you pay for your healthcare cannot be more than 8.5% of your yearly income. Let's say you make $45,000 a year. Well, 8.5% of your income for the year would be $5,294. You divide that by 12, meaning that the max amount that you pay per month with this COVID era subsidy that's in place that Republicans, I believe, are trying to get rid of, would be the max you would pay is $441 a month or less. So if we were to eliminate the subsidy, if we were to eliminate the ability for you to receive that, then it could go up so much more. For instance, so hold on a second. Where to go? Yeah. So the core dispute of why the government is shut down. The Enhanced Affordable Care Act Obamacare premium tax credits, enacted during the COVID-19 era, expire on December 31st. They have spurred record enrollment for people. They capped premiums at 8.5% income for many. Without extening these things, which Republicans are trying to get rid of, without extension, premiums could rise 75% on average in 2026. Hitting middle-class families earning $65,000 to $100,000 the hardest. So if Republicans are successful in eliminating these subsidies, then that means that they're going to take away the 8.5% cap, meaning that this is putting a cap, so meaning that's the max amount that you'll ever possibly pay, or it could be lower. So Republicans are trying to get rid of this cap, meaning that they can price gouge you. So you might owe $441 a month, but if they get rid of that subsidy, it could go up by a 50% increase of $660. So it could go up to 65% increase of $727 a month, or even a 75% increase to $771 a month. So the reason why the government is shut down is because Democratic senators are saying, hey, we don't want to eliminate these subsidies. We don't want to eliminate the ability for the government to help subsidize low-income people's health care. Right now, Republicans are trying to get rid of these subsidies. They're trying to get rid of these discounts for low-income people. They're trying to get rid of this assistance to low-income people to afford their health insurance. That's not a political statement. That's objectively what's happening. If you think that's good, you do you. If you think that's bad, you do you. I'm simply just laying it out here. The reason the government is shut down is because Republicans are trying to take away these healthcare subsidies. Democrats are saying, no, we don't want to take them away. That's simply what the core dispute is here. These healthcare subsidies help low-income people. That's simply what it is. So I want to lay out how many people this actually helps. So, and again, what is included in the ACA subsidies that Democrats are fighting for? They're enhanced premium tax credits that, help low-income people afford their health care. So just to highlight how many people, and they are set to expire at the end of 2025, yada, yada, yada. Just to point out how many people these healthcare subsidies help. The population of the United States is 340 million people. It's actually 342 million people, according to the World Population Clock, which is a government site. Now, I took this screenshot, probably about 15, 20 minutes ago, so it's going to be more than that. But, this is the population of the United States. It's actually, the population of the United States is 342 or so million people. Now, it's also important to point out that when looking at the numbers for who is enrolled in Medicaid and CHIP, which is the Children's Health Insurance Program, this is about 77 million people. That means that 77 million people are receiving these subsidies. They qualify to receive these subsidies so that the amount that they pay for their health care is reduced. So in order to qualify for that discount, that coupon, you can think of it that way, you have to make a certain amount of money. So it's even means tested. So let's say that you earn $80,000 a year, and it's just you. You're not going to qualify for this low-income people's program because it's just you. So all that being said, when we're looking at who benefits from healthcare subsidies, the population of the United States is 340 million people. The people that are on Medicaid is 77 million people. When you divide 340 million people by 77 million, that means about 1 in 4 people in the United States are on Medicaid. So these subsidies that help put a cap on the amount that you pay each month in your premiums that means that Republicans are trying to eliminate the insurance, footing part of the insurance for 1 in 4 people in the United States. Does that all make sense? Republicans are the real dispute over why the government is shut down. The real dispute over why the government is shut down is simply because Republicans do not want to extend a discount, a coupon, the government helping foot the bill for low-income people to afford health care. That's not a political statement, that's an objective fact. Just laying it out. Now, if you think, oh, well, the government should eliminate these programs for low-income people to afford their health care, that's definitely an interesting statement. I mean, I'm going to personally disagree with that because I think that, we need to help working class people in this country. That all being said, that could, I guess, be theoretically a debate. The objective facts are here that Republicans are trying to cut poor people's health care. Period. End of story. Now pause. I have not looked at the chat whatsoever, but I'm going to predict what's in it. Homophobic slurs, constant trying to mock me or my voice or my appearance, but also fear-mongering around how Democrats are destroying the country, and also how, oh, it's undocumented immigrants that are receiving these healthcare subsidies. That's undocumented people. Oh, it's illegal aliens that are receiving healthcare. I haven't looked at the chat, but I'm going to guarantee that that's what it is. Now pause. For all these people that are screaming at the top of their heads thinking that undocumented immigrants receive Medicaid, you are misinformed. To qualify for Medicaid, you have to be a citizen. To qualify for the healthcare subsidies that I was talking about in question here, you have to be a citizen. Sorry, that's objectively, you cannot disagree with just raw factual information. Now, there is one small provision that the government funds. The government actually does help people who are undocumented. In particular, it's a specific small provision for emergencies. So, I even asked Grok, I said, hey, has the government allocated any money to illegal and undocumented immigrants for Medicaid? It says, no. The U.S. government does not allocate Medicaid funds for ongoing health coverage to undocumented people because in order to qualify to receive Medicaid, you have to be a citizen. That's just an objective fact. In order to receive, like I live in North Carolina, in order to receive health care coverage, these subsidies through the Affordable Care Act, you have to be a citizen. You have to be a U.S. citizen in order to receive it. So the one small little bit of compensation that undocumented people do get is specifically for emergencies. Specifically for emergencies. So, however, there is a narrow exception called emergency Medicaid. Emergency Medicaid covers only acute, life-threatening conditions such as labor and delivery, severe injuries, and sudden illnesses. By the way, 80% or so, 80% of births in the United States is covered by Medicaid. So if you cut Medicaid, then you're making it so much harder for people to bring little ones into the world. You're like, oh yeah, here's that big bill for you birthing a child out of your hootenanny. Like that's what, I think that's just so gross. So cutting Medicaid severely impacts that process. But just to really put this in perspective here, in 2023, fiscal year 2023, emergency Medicaid spending totaled $3.8 billion, representing just 0.4% of overall Medicaid. So you're like, well, wait, hold on. You're saying that this emergency Medicaid provision only costs total out of all of the Medicaid spending 0.4%? Yes. Yes. So if you are so concerned with taxpayer dollars going to undocumented people in this one provision, then that's $3.8 billion. Okay. My next then question will be, if you're upset about that, then if you're so upset over $3.8 billion, why are you not upset over $20 billion? That's the number that Donald Trump, our president, is set to bail out Argentina, the government, the economy of Argentina for. Are you not upset over $20 billion? You're so hyper-focused on 3.8 that you're not going to look at the bigger one, like almost 10 times the size? Or what about Israel? Us constantly giving more money to a country that is doing a genocide against Palestinian people. Another $12 billion. That was just recently, since the start of Trump's term. All that being said, I'm just putting in perspective here. Like, if you're going to get so concerned and so upset over narrow provisions for people who are undocumented to be able to go to the emergency room in order to cover an acute illness, then why are you not outraged over some of this other spending? Doesn't make any sense. Putting all that in perspective here, again, the reason the government is shut down is simply because of this discrepancy, this disagreement over healthcare subsidies. That's what it's all about. In order to receive it, you have to be a citizen. In order to receive the healthcare subsidies through the Affordable Care Act, you have to be a citizen. To further point that all out, because there are probably screaming trolls that cannot, and no matter how much that I actually try to tell you all, there's people who are going to be obnoxious with it. But this was the Continuing Appropriations Act that the Democrats put in place, the appropriations bill to fund the government to then get rid of the shutdown. When you go through here, nothing in here shows. I typed in alien. Nope, there's nothing in here saying about, healthcare for even undocumented people. There's nothing under the Medicaid section saying that it goes to, non-citizens or anything like that. Undocumented people or illegal aliens, however you want to talk about it. And so the real reason why the government is shut down is simply, the reason is that Democratic senators are refusing Republicans' demand to cut healthcare subsidies for low-income people. That's the reason. It's not a political statement. That's just what's happening. Republicans want to eliminate these healthcare subsidies for low-income people, meaning that the government is partially footing the bill for poor people's healthcare. Democratic senators are saying, we don't want to we don't want to put people into bankruptcy because of trying to afford their health insurance. But you know what this also means? It means that Republicans are okay with the government being shut down if there is the potential to increase the costs for low-income people's healthcare. Meaning that they are willing to be in a government shutdown if it means there's a chance to eliminate these subsidies to raise the costs for poor people paying for health insurance. If you break that all down, that's what that means. These Republicans are okay with the government being shut down so long as there is a chance that they could pass these cuts, getting rid of these subsidies for low-income people. And it's all in plain sight, y'all. It's all in plain sight. Donald Trump, our president himself, obviously has disdain for low-income people. For instance, hold on a second. Let me get to his post here. Here it is. It says, Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closure to clear out dead wood, waste, and fraud. Billions of dollars can be saved. Says the guy who wants to send $20 billion to bail out the economy of Argentina. That all being said, he views these discounts, healthcare subsidies for low-income people as waste, fraud, and abuse. It's defined right there. Donald Trump truly believes that spending that helps low-income people afford their health insurance. 1 in 4 people are on Medicaid in this country. The reason the government is shut down is because Democrats are saying, hey, we don't want Republicans to be able to go through and permanently gut these healthcare subsidies. These subsidies which help foot the bill for low-income people to afford their health insurance. So the reason the government is shut down, Democrats are saying, hey, if these go through, then people's health insurance is going to skyrocket. Democrats are trying to do Republicans actually a favor when you're actually really breaking it down here, because they're saying, hey, Republicans, if you pass this, that means that low-income people, which disproportionately affects rural Republican low-income people in red states, it's going to increase the amount that they pay in their health insurance premiums. Look, if Democrats truly didn't care, they would just let Republicans go wild with some of this stuff, because then people would be like, oh my God, why is my health insurance so high? Democrats can be like, look, we tried to stop it, but they have the majority. They cut these subsidies. So when you really think about it, Democratic lawmakers are saving Republicans from excessive embarrassment in that way, because they're there trying to be like, hey, we don't want to make people feel pain. So when Donald Trump says waste, fraud, and abuse, he clearly just means subsidies for low-income people to compensate to pay for their health care. It's frustrating that I have to over-explain it in that way, but I really hope that this helps put into context people who are like, yeah, okay, I didn't realize that that's why the government is shut down. Let me take a sip of coffee, and then I'm going to kind of recover it all again. Make sure to like the stream if you appreciate the breakdown. I work super, super hard to do all of this. So let me take a sip of water here. Hold on.